Hi everyone, I'm Trisha, it's me Jenny, and it's time for another Not Naked video response to Trisha Hershberger series Naked Truth, where we talk as candidly and as truthfully as possible about a subject of her choosing straight out shower, no makeup or hair, first take, one take, etc, etc. Most people choose to do it naked. I choose not to. I had hair in my face, but either way it's not a sexy damn thing, it's being vulnerable and honest, it's a tool for the vlogger type thing. And today's subject is Leslie Jones, or more specifically, or as a specific example of cyberbullying. Your thoughts on that subject. And my quickie thoughts is cyberbullying's interesting is not the right word. It is a variant on bullying in, it's bullying in a different media, in the way that, radio plays and physical plays are different things. They're still the same, performance type thing, but they're in different medias. And cyberbullying is just as much a bullying aspect as face-to-face bullying. And the thing with face-to-face bullying is you have inflection and you have facial expression and physical action sometimes. So that in many ways is worse, but in many ways it's better because it's more clear cut and you can truly get intention, where someone might say something stupid, they might say something unintentional, they might say something cruel but not meaning to be, and if that's said in person, then there's a better chance of it not being misunderstood. While on the internet, particularly with text-based communication, there's a lot of room for misinterpretation, for misreading, and just generally miscommunication in that front, with a lot of the less specific hate or less specific bullying. Obviously when it comes to hate language, when it comes to direct harassment, that's a whole other different thing. And the thing with Leslie Jones is, it's very, when people are dealing with bullying, they usually get one of two advices, which is either ignore the bully or face up to them, show them that you're not scared. And this is one of those differences between real life bullying, or real life bullying. Cyberbullying is still a type of bullying. Face-to-face bullying versus cyberbullying is that, in real life you could stand up to someone and you could, show them that you're not scared with inflection and with your facial expression and with your body language. You can show that you are unafraid, you can show that you're not intimidated, and you can continue to exist actively. While if you do that in a cyberspace, it doesn't necessarily have the same impact, so it just feeds the hate. Now, obviously that can still happen in real life when it comes to face-to-face bullying, but it's less intense. And it is a lot worse for people who are directly in the spotlight. When you're physically in the spotlight, you have a better control over the environment or who's in your physical space. When you are in the internet spotlight, you don't have control over who's in your space, who has the ability to shout at you, who has the ability to harass you. You can limit what you show, but you can't limit who has access. And that's one of the reasons why I don't do these vlogs naked, is because I don't know who is in my space and who might be watching. I don't have that equal relationship, and so when it comes to bullying, it's the same sort of thing, where you don't have control who can come into your space. So many people can come in your space and direct things at you, whether positive or negative. And Leslie Jones is a very complicated one, because she did do the first thing, which is to stand up to your bullies, to, say this is terrible. And I have great respect for people who stand up and say, make a stand against harassment. Recently, Marisha Ray from Critical Role stood up against harassment she'd been suffering from. And that I have great respect for, but she did it in a very different way to Leslie Jones, in that she said it in a respectful way and was willing to take the less than respectful response, while Leslie Jones didn't respond in necessarily the most non-emotional way. And that's unfortunately the only way you can deal with cyberbullying, is to cut the people out of your life without actively feeding the resentment, because when everyone's involved, when everyone can get into the space, it can just blossom and feed and frenzy, while in real life it takes a lot more energy to continue that thing. If someone's showing that you're not affecting me and says I am not affected by your bullying in real life, then the other person either has to make the decision to consciously use a lot of energy to keep that up, or to walk away. When it comes to cyberbullying, you can say, I'm not affected, or I think this is terrible, and it's a lot less effort for someone to then respond with more hate. And because Leslie Jones responded with that slightly more, without that attitude of calm, I can deal with this, she initiated more bullying. Again, she did not, one of the things that Philip Franco says very often is, you know, naked pictures, things that are stolen from your privacy, things that like are hacking events, that is never ever the fault of the person who is hacked. And he takes it into a physical setting, like I've been doing for this thing, is, you know, if someone steals naked photos off your phone, you shouldn't be blamed for taking the photos, because it's the equivalent of someone walking into your house, looking through your photo albums, picking out photos and then sending them around by fax. That would be the physical alternative. So, you know, someone walked into your house and stole your stuff. You are not at fault for someone stealing your stuff. Even if you left the door open, they still shouldn't have gone into your house. Even if they hate you, they shouldn't go into your house and do that. If you take, like, I always view the internet and real life as, you know, comparative equal footings. You can't say one thing in one setting that you wouldn't then say in another setting. That's how I've always lived on the internet, is how I exist. You know, I wouldn't say, you know, something offensive in real life and I wouldn't say it on the internet. I don't view myself as a separate person as my internet self from my non-internet self. There's things I don't share with the internet, but I do view them as equal pathways. And when people view them as unequal pathways because of the anonymity, that's when miscommunication happens, and when people do bad things because they don't realise the consequences, the real life consequences of their action, whether that is the legal implications or the emotional consequences that you're causing against someone else. And I think it's very, very important for people who are being harassed to stand up, particularly the minorities that are more commonly harassed, so that is women and minorities. They should stand up and say this is what's happening and communicate. But unfortunately, due to the way the internet is, the only way to actively improve things is to say, I am being harassed, this is bad, I disagree with it, and then to cut the rest of it out. To, you know, be safe on the internet. You know, I have a little webcam blocker that I always use when I sleep, to keep your private information confidential. I don't talk about my surname online. It's just one of those things that I try and avoid. It's not like a hidden secret, but it's just general security. I don't talk about my job. I don't talk about my village. And there's certain things that you just try and keep away from the internet for your own safety and security. And I realise I've been rambling on for a long, long time, but the only way really to combat with internet bullying is to block, ignore, but make others aware that you're equally suffering, because that's the only way to equally communicate. Be safe, be sensible, and be empathetic. I've always felt that you have to, you know, I always, when I was being bullied, when I was a child, I never felt angry. I always just felt sad for the person who was doing it against me, because I knew that their problems were probably greater than my problems ever would be. And, you know, no matter what I was feeling, all I had to do was think that, and it felt better. Not because I was like, yeah, they're bad, they're feeling bad too, but more that, you know, it's not their fault, and they don't mean it in that way. Yeah, I think I've said a lot. I don't know if I've said anything, to be honest, but thank you for watching. Feel free to comment, and yeah, the internet should be treated like the real life. Even though it has possibilities for great good, it also has potential for great misbehaviour, and just be safe and sensible and try and be your best selves on the internet like you would be in real life. I guess that's something. Words and stuff things. I'm going to go to bed. Thank you for watching. Bye guys.